Drilling a compound hole using only two angles. In this video I will explain step by step how you can accurately drill a compound hole. Stay tuned, let's get started right now. Compound holes, angle only, part number 5. So basically this problem we're given two angles. We're given the 32 and we're given the 27. And we need to find out the tilt and rotation to set up to do this compound hole. Our tilt setup will look like this, and our rotation setup will look like this. Our rotation, we're going to be using a 3-inch sine bar, and our tilt, we're going to be using a 5-inch sine bar. What we want to find out in our calculations is we want to find out the height of gauge block F and the height of gauge block G. We want to create a three-dimensional box. All of the information that we have is just this angle here and this angle here. So our three-dimensional box is going to be from the center line of the hole at the top and the center line of the hole at the bottom. So our three-dimensional box will look like this. This here line represents this line right here. This width represents the width from here to here. The depth of our box is represented from this length from here to here. What is the height of our part? We don't know. All we have is an angle. So we're going to assume that it's 1 because we don't really need this number. So we're going to calculate our width. We're going to be using tan. So opposite over adjacent. So our width is going to be 0.6246. Now we calculate our depth, which we're going to use tan again. Now we have our width and our depth. Now we need to calculate the length of our hole. Finding the hole length. The problem is we don't have a height, so we don't have a real hole length. What we can calculate is a factor, the length factor. Later on, if we turn around and we find out what the actual height of our block is, we can multiply that by the factor and come up with a true length. So to calculate our length, we're going to use the square root of a squared plus b squared plus c squared. Sometimes on our calculator it's a little tricky to find the square root. They can be in multiple different places. So know your calculator. For all of my videos I use a sharp calculator, and it can be in a couple of different places. So we have a length factor of 1.2845. Find rotation. To find rotation, we are going to use a 3-inch sine bar, and the objective is to calculate gauge block G. Using principle 5, we're going to get into a little bit more of this at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so we're going to use the inverse of tan multiplied by the width divided by the depth. To use the inverse of tan, or 1 over tan, you have to press 2 buttons, second function, then tan, and that'll give you the inverse of tan. There we have it. Our rotation angle is 39.19 degrees. We are going to be using a 3-inch sine bar. So sine 39 degrees multiplied by a 3-inch sine bar gives you 1.895 and a bunch of change. So the gauge block size we're actually going to use is 1.8959. Now we need to find the tilt angle. Ideally, we want to find the actual F height of our gauge block. We're going to use the inverse of cos. Same thing, you need to press two buttons, the second function, then the cos, to get the inverse of cos. So our tilt angle is going to be 38.87 degrees. We have a 5-inch sine bar here. We want to calculate our gauge block height of F. So sine 38 degrees multiplied by 5-inch sine bar gives you a gauge block height of 3.1382. So we have our rotation angle and we have our tilt angle. You can also set this up a different way, depending on how your machine is set up and what tools you have. But if you want to go with the proper way with what we calculated, you have to use the one on the right, okay, which is 39 degrees. But if you want to use the one on the left set up, you just need to use the complementary angle, which is going to be 50.8 degrees. If this video piqued your interest and you want to learn more, please check out my YouTube channel, Shop and Math. There's awesome videos that cover a wide variety of things that relate back to machining. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It's free and it'll help me out. Just click on the icon of my face and I'll do the rest. Have an excellent night.